For 2 years now, I've been studying this document. It's updated daily. Every line signifies another public mass shooting in the United States. I found the document doing research for an immersive theater piece I was working on responding to the Oregon shooting on October 1st, 2015. Exactly 2 years from that day, I decided to make this film. Exactly 2 years from that day was the shooting in Las Vegas.
Shocking and painful tragedy this time in Las Vegas, which happens to be my hometown.
2 young men opened fire at a high school in Littleton, Colorado. At least 3 students have been
they're looking at, trying to figure out what the meaning is to it, so that's quite bizarre.
Everyone knows what happened here last
James Holmes shot 82 people inside a packed Colorado movie theater 3 years ago, killing 12.
Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek.
concert venue in Orlando nearly a week ago was lost in the barrage of other violent headlines.
We've become numb to this.
According to the latest updates, 2 people have been fatally shot on the campus. One is a police officer.
Headlines across America, 2 high school shootings in one day.
A high school sophomore
Charlotte,
being attacked.
Daniel, Olivia, Josephine, Anna, Dylan.
Newtown,
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
Last week, I visited Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut. It was impossible to look at the beautifully revitalized facility and not remember the 6 teachers and staff, and 26 and 7-year-olds who were murdered here. It is chilling to know at young ages children are exposed to this horrific violence. In primary and secondary schools throughout the nation, we can now expect approximately 15 homicides and 5 suicides to happen each year. But that doesn't even consider all the interaction with gun violence that a student might encounter. My best friend through middle and high school, Ari Moore, felt the effects of a homicide that occurred at his bus stop in our 8th grade year at Carnage Middle School.
Well, it was just like crazy because like Hedingham is such a peaceful neighborhood and like stuff like that don't normally happen there, and it was just like really weird that happened near my house, like a whole block from my house. And I hated going there. Like we never walked up there after that. Just it was kind of creepy because it's just like somebody died there. But like I mean I went to other bus stops too, like aside from that one, just to keep from going over there a lot. So. Somebody shot into my dad's car one time.
When?
Like back when he used to sell sneakers, this man was trying to rob him and shot into his car, and he drove away. When you kill all these people, you're not thinking about their families. You're not thinking about the person that you're after, families. You're not thinking about any of that. These people have families that they would have to go home to, and you shoot them and kill them. And I think it's selfish. I really think it's selfish to kill anybody at all. Even the fact that this happened, like the thing that happened happened close to my house, the boy was only 17. He's never gonna live to see another day. It's just ridiculous. Like, I just don't think he deserved to die because of this girl's dad's feelings. Like, I just don't.
Unfortunately, Ari's experience isn't unique. Our school system, Wake County Public Schools, is the 15th largest in the nation. And growing up, I saw the statistics come to life. In the United States, just between 2013 and 2015, there were 76 shootings at colleges and universities, and 84 at K-12 schools. On average, 2 school shootings took place at K-12 schools each month. We should feel secure in sending our children to school, comforted by the knowledge that they are safe. Russ Smith, the Senior Director of Security for the Wake County Public School System, sat down with me to discuss this very thing.
Yeah, I think for the most part, parents do trust that we're doing what is in the best interest of their children, and we're very fortunate to live in a community where we have great support from not only the community but from our law enforcement agencies that are within the community. They don't bat an eye when these things happen to provide support, to know that, hey, you know, we need to provide that additional support to make sure that everybody feels safe in the educational environment for that day. But it's a culture and a climate that needs to be put out there into the school. One of the first large ones, Columbine, that a lot of people will, you know, and of course that was very close to the time that I started working for the school systems. You know, a lot of the things that we've heard through the course of time with any of these mass school shootings was, you know, somebody out there knew, had heard something, and they didn't pass it on. And that's why it's important that we have these relationships with students, that people feel comfortable to come forward, or at least provide them an avenue where they can report it anonymously so that we can get the information.
Less than 30 minutes from my house, I was shocked to find so many survivors of gun violence. Dolly Griggs lost her son in 2013 to a gunshot wound, only 3 miles from their house.
My son Christian, we lost him October the 12th, 2013. The trauma people at Wake Med was really good. They kept coming out giving us updates, but they came out, a team of them, and told us that you know, he didn't make it. And our world, our lives, our world was just shattered. He went in and picked up a .22 rifle and shot my son, took his life. Not one time, but 6 times. And then his rage and his anger continued to shoot my son as he was lying there, defenseless. He would have had no choice but to wait for the police to get there. My son had nothing to harm him with. There was just words. And my son would be here for Christmas, he would be here for his daughter. But instead, he took his life.
Joseph and Diane Umstead also struggle with issues of gun violence today. They moved away from Arizona in the wake of losing a close friend in the deadly mass shooting targeted at Congresswoman Gabrielle Gifford. He lost his life jumping in front of the bullet to save her. After moving to North Carolina, their nephew took his own life with a shotgun he bought at a Walmart.
The value that resonates most with me in the volunteer work that I've been doing with Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America has to do with honoring the lives of people and honoring the commitment of a community to be better and to embrace, you know, change in community so that we're all working together to make safe places for our kids and families. No one should have to be wondering where their friends are. Like, I was calling Gabe's girlfriend that day. I was wondering what was going on because we were hearing the news reports, and it was just, all of us in that community, we were beside ourselves. And then, you know, equally, to get a call from my sister to say that Jared had died by suicide at the hands of a gun. You know, yeah, so we failed Jared, we failed Gabe, we failed every single one of these people that have died either by suicide or women and men in domestic violence situations. Or, I mean, the most horrific thing to me is that toddlers are getting a hold of guns, and that children under the age of 3 who think that gun is a toy don't know what to do, and that their parent with it, and so they use it in a way that hurts someone, and then that their parents don't have gun sense to know about safety and locks and all of those sorts of things. I mean, it is just a fearful time in our society. Friends are critical to holding me up when I am feeling a lack of hope. and they are critical to my growth and my understanding so that I can be articulate about the subject to both family members and other friends and wherever else I'm talking about it. And so if I didn't have this network of friends and this network of people that care about this issue, I would probably like fade into the distance and not be as involved.
Unfortunately, right, we're becoming accustomed to bad things happening all the time, right? We're getting to the point now, I think, unfortunately, where you hear a story like that, you might spend maybe an hour, right, fixated and watching, and then you switch the channel and you move on. But I think that's a completely different, right? The idea of whether we care or we don't care, that's a whole other animal. The only way you're gonna care about something is if you actually think that it's relevant to your life.
With the average number of mass shootings rising to over 1 per day since 2013, it can be very easy to feel numb to all this. My middle school teacher, Cheryl Zellick, experienced this firsthand when her vacation to Las Vegas was interrupted by the dreadful shooting.
I feel like we get desensitized. Another shooting. And I mean, and I'm as guilty to go, oh, really? Really? And then it was like being in Vegas and sitting there, not knowing. We went to bed early because we were going to Grand Canyon. We had to be at the stop at 6 a.m. So that meant we weren't staying out late, which is the reason I didn't get those tickets to go to Harvest 91, because yeah, that could be a real late evening and we have to be up. So when I got up at 4, got into the shower, and my phone started going off, I don't mean one message. I mean, it was instantaneous, one after another, after another, after another, after another. And when I finally got to my phone, the first message on there was a cousin. Are you okay? And I'm going, yeah, because Mark was sleeping. So we didn't turn the TV on right away. I said, yeah, what's up? He said, turn on your TV. Mass shooting in Vegas. So we turn on the TV, and you had a split screen, and you had the same, on the right side of the screen was the same cell phone image being looped, and it was people running and people being thrown into trucks and blood everywhere and people being thrown, and I'm looking at this going, we're fine. And it was like, and it was one after another, and my girlfriend from 7th grade on Facebook, Cheryl, answer me, are you okay? It was numbing to sit there and look. It's like the accident on the side of the road. You can't look away, but you want to look away, but you can't look away. And they kept showing it over and over and over. I didn't know what to say. You're looking at it going, this is like surreal to see it. The next night we did a tour. They're driving by Mandalay Bay. There's the windows. I have a picture on my cell phone. But here we are, the morning after, the whole feeling of, there was an uneasiness. There was nobody in the casinos, but you had that picture. You became so desensitized, you wouldn't even look at the picture anymore. You had it memorized. It was like playing in your mind when you closed your eyes, because that's what you saw. I went into a panic attack. We were in what the old Vegas, Fremont Street. And Mark had walked off to find someone, and I'm standing there. I'm looking for our guide. We were on a tour. Can't find anybody I know. Mark is gone. And I actually started to shake and panic. And I'm going, and I kept trying to tell myself, you're safe, you're okay, you're safe. But I didn't feel safe. I'm not that fearful. I grew up in Detroit, for crying out loud. There wasn't a lot that scared me. I've never felt afraid, except then.
The question that never really leaves me, however, is what can we do about gun violence? Is there any hope for a peaceful tomorrow?
You have choices. You have choices to sit back and just wait, or feel like, or be depressed, or feel powerless. But my attitude has been, I want to get out and make it better for someone else. When you're collective, it's very powerful because you have you're working for the same cause, whether it's for, gun sense laws, whether it's for reform or changing, your community leaders, because the ones that you have in place now are non-responsive.
As far as the whole community being held accountable, I think that they should really crack down on who is buying guns and what kind of person is buying guns. Do really strict background checks. People do background checks, but it's not thorough enough to me if this stuff is still happening.
Do we need to do something? I think we do. But you can't cross a line of Second Amendment rights. I think there are way too many people out there. They're not giving up their gun. You can pry it out of their cold, dead hand, and you probably have seen that quote somewhere, because they're not going to give up their right. It's their right. And like I said, I don't think the Founding Fathers were talking about automatic weapons, but maybe what they could do is look at the things that make an automatic weapon so deadly, the modifications you can do. Maybe you can start there so that you don't put a clip in and have 500 shots go off.
And like the thing is, every time I hear that happen, it just like hurts my heart, because it's just like, why? It makes my heart heavy, because it's just like, why? It's just so many innocent people die because of one thing that's going on.
I would want to see my government put all the partisanship aside and really sit down and look at this issue and work together with a common goal to come up with the best solution.
You have to fight for what you believe in. You have to take a stand to things that are not right. You think about the civil rights history, if people didn't take a stand, and a lot of the freedoms that I am enjoying, my kids enjoy, would not have happened. So those people risked their lives. So I think that it's totally up to to individuals, to my kids, to my family, to a community, to the nation, to stand up against things that are not right.
You were in school when Sandy Hook occurred. I don't know if you were in middle school at that point, but I remember the conversations of the teachers at Carnegie Middle. And the one thing that came out was we would all step in front of that bullet to protect these kids. But how many bullets do we have to step in front of?
I don't know if it will ever get easier to hear that there was another shooting. And part of me doesn't want it to. Ultimately, I have hope that one day we will be able to come together as a nation and make the choice to condemn this mass violence. Gun violence should have stopped after Columbine. It should have stopped after Virginia Tech. It should have stopped after Fort Hood. It should have stopped after Sandy Hook. It should have stopped after San Bernardino. It should have stopped after Charleston. It should have stopped after Orlando. It should have stopped after Las Vegas. It should have stopped after Sutherland Springs. It needs to stop now.